what's going on, guys? It's Epic Glade, and welcome back to another video. Now in today's video, because the Crown Tundra DLC has been out for quite a while and ranked battles just started, I'm going to be talking about some of the top used Pokemon, and I'm going to be basically going over this list of how good every Pokemon is, and these Pokemon have a usage stat of, I think, I don't know, 0.06% or more. So I mean, obviously you have some niche ones, but we are going to be going through basically everything. I'm going to be talking about in today's video what is good, what's going to be good in the metagame, and what surprised me. And basically I'm going to be going over all of the good Pokemon, all of the good and bad Pokemon for the VGC. I'm gonna call this 2021 season to start off with, because I'm assuming Series 7 is 2021. But before we get into it, I would just like to say that I did not create this tier list. Actually, Genuine Angus created this tier list on Tier Master, so I'd like to credit him. And also, we're actually at 92 subscribers. I mean, the amount of support on the channel has been absolutely incredible as of recent. But if we could get to 100 subscribers, guys, that would be absolutely insane. I'd really appreciate it. So, if you could, smash the like button down below if you enjoy, and subscribe for more future Pokemon content. Now, I will be doing a tier list today, and maybe a couple days from now I will be doing some battles. I don't really have a team ready for the Crown Tundra right now, and I don't really have a team, and that team's for the Players Cup, so I'm not going to be playing with that team on my channel. I'm going to be playing with a separate team until Players Cup is over. So let's get into it. Alright, so these are Pokemon that have pretty high usage rates. Or not pretty high, but decent usage rates, and we're gonna be going through all of these Pokemon. Now, some Pokemon we won't be talking about, like Alolan Meowth. I don't know why that's in there, but some of these Pokemon are pretty relevant. I mean, Salamis is used, Metagross is used, Dusclops is used, you know what I mean? We're gonna be going over some of those Pokemon. Now, actually, I'm gonna start from the bottom and work my way up. So the first Pokemon we are going to talk about is, hold on, I need to, like, go move them up here. Alright, here we go. First Pokemon we're going to talk about is Spectrier. Alright, so what do I think of Spectrier? Well, Spectrier, I'm not really going to be using Pokemon Showdown all that much because this video will be incredibly long. But Spectrier, this is just to get a general sense of the VGC metagame and what's good and what's not. Spectrier has incredible special attack and incredible speed, but here's the thing, it's a ghost type and it's in competition with Dragapult. And Dragapult beats this thing because this thing has base 60 defense, right? And yes, it gets Grimnay, which is essentially a beast boost only for its special attack. But here's the thing, its move pool is trash. Your best move, the best set on this thing is Shadow Ball, Will-O-Wisp, Taunt, and Protect. And while actually that's a decent set, this thing really wants coverage. This thing really does want coverage, and unfortunately you really don't have the option to run much coverage with this Pokemon. You really don't, which is kind of sad. You really don't have a lot of room to run coverage on this Pokemon. I mean, it's not bulky enough to really utilize a Taunt and a Will-O-Wisp too well. I mean, you do see it on teams because it can be an offensive threat. You could pair this with Dusclops and go for a Shadow Sneak, proc your weakness policy, and then pretty much start one-shotting things. So I'm not saying it's completely inviolable. I just don't think it's incredibly good. I don't think it's one of the best Pokemon. Do I think you'll see it on teams? Yes, but I think it's going to be extremely niche because there's a lot of Pokemon in this metagame that just counter it. But I do think it will have some use. Now, Glacier, however you want to pronounce this thing, you know probably where I'm going to place this thing. I'm going to place it very high, and here's the reason why. I made a video talking about the top 5 Pokemon to be Glacier, because I knew this thing was going to be incredibly good. Now, I'm going off the top of my head. I think this thing has 145 HP, 100 HP, I think. 145 attack, 130 defense, and 110 special defense with 30 base speed. It is the best Tricker Mon. It has such good coverage. It's so incredibly hard to KO. You can run this thing with a Brick Break Dusclops and just be able to one-shot everything. I'm putting this in I'm putting this in S tier for right now, although I think I probably will move it down to A tier later on. Alright, so we're going to talk about Reggie Drago. Reggie Drago is kind of neat because it gets a signature move called Dragon Energy, which is basically a Dragon type eruption. And it has 200 base HP, but I think it has 50 in both defenses, and they're really, I think Tapu Fini's existence really just nullifies any use this thing could have had. And also Reggie Drago, you know, those Pokemon are more niche, like, you know, other than Kyogre, we didn't really have a consistent water spout Pokemon. I mean, yeah, there was Blastoise, but Blastoise isn't the most consistent water spout Pokemon. And we had a Pokemon like Torkoal. Now, Torkoal works really well because it has very low base speed and it can go for eruption. But Reggie Drago it just doesn't do it. It's niche at best. Oh, I am gonna add a tier. Hold on. I am gonna add a tier. We're gonna add a C tier to this list because I would put Reggie Drago in C tier personally. That would be me. Oh wait, what happened here? How did this get missed? Yep, here we go. I don't really want new. I don't know what. Hold on, I'm gonna get rid of new. We're gonna delete row and we're gonna delete row here. And then we're going to we're gonna add another row and we're going to make it just called F. Oh, what? Wait, I want to rename this. Hold on, why is this, what is happening here? D, here we go. Sorry, I've never used this website before. So, I honestly am not that familiar with it. Okay, here we go. So, I would honestly put Reggie Drago in D. I just don't know if it will be super good. And it's one of those Pokemon where, yeah, Weedle Twin Needle might use it and just 4-0 his opponent. But, you know, it's one of those Pokemon where it's so gimmicky, I just don't see it being that reliable. Now, Reggie Lackey, on the other hand, is a completely different story. Now, Reggie Lackey, obviously, is the fastest thing in the game. It hits actually really hard with its ability Transistor, coming off of actually a decent base 100 special attack stat. It hits just incredibly hard, and I mean, it does a lot of damage to my Porygon too. It did crazy amounts of damage. It does insane amounts of damage. To so many things in the metagame. Now, Reggie Lackey is quite frail, but Reggie Lackey, although his move pool is quite shallow in the fact that it doesn't have many coverage options, for supportive options, it actually does have a lot. You can decide, you can run Electroweb, you can run screens if you want. You know, it has those utility options. You can run Volt Switch for just switchability. You know, it's a pretty good Pokemon. I place it in a solid A tier. Alright, next mon. Urshifu's. I'm assuming this is Single Strike and that's Rapid Strike. Rapid Strike, we're not going to do like the Gigantamax Pokemon. Like the Gigantamax Pokemon, we're just going to do one. So this might seem like a lot of Pokemon to go through, but it's really not because I'm pretty much going to put some of these Pokemon in like D or F tier. But I'm assuming this is Rapid Strike Urshifu. Now, Rapid Strike Shifu is going to be significantly worse than Single Strike in my opinion. I would put it in D tier, just because here's the thing with Urshifu. Urshifu is still good. It's just why run Rapid Strike Urshifu over Single Strike Urshifu, because Single Strike Urshifu just hits so many more things in this meta game for just better damage. Unless you're running a rain team, that's the only reason I would see using Urshifu. Now, we are going to talk about Urshifu Single Strike. Now, just because, you know, there's a lot of new Pokemon added, doesn't mean this Pokemon is irrelevant. I've definitely faced quite a bit of Urshifu online. Urshifu is still very good. Do not worry. Do not worry. This mon is still incredibly good. This mon will still hit you incredibly hard. This mon will surprise you with how much damage it can do if it's rocking something like a Choice Band. This Pokemon is incredibly good. It probably can one-shot Landers. Yeah, it probably can one-shot Landers with the Choice Band. It just has the ability to pick up on so many KOs. Excuse me. Now we actually have more Pokemon to deal with this thing, like the Tapus, like Tapu Fini and whatnot. But I still think this Pokemon is a solid. Oh, we need B tier as well. What the heck? We need B tier as well. That's so weird. I didn't put that in. I think this Pokemon is a solid B tier Pokemon. Solid B tier, I'd say. Alright, we're gonna move on. We're not gonna cover the G-Max's Dragapult. Oh my freaking god. Dragapult is incredibly good. Dragapult still has the potential to deal so much damage. I'm putting in a solid S tier. Dragapult has the ability to deal so much damage, hit so many things just incredibly hard. Weakness policy is still very good. The Sink and Thread and Trick Room, just so much. It's such an incredibly potent Pokemon. You know, in Series 5, it was good. You know, in all the series, it was dominant. It was just amazing. And I don't think Season 7 is going to be any different. I think this Pokemon is still going to be extremely relevant. It has great max move coverage. It has great stats. It has amazing speed. It's going to be outspeeding everything in the metagame. Bar Reggie Lackey. Although Reggie Lackey can't really touch Dragapult all that much. Although Reggie Lackey still does a lot to Dragapult with it, even with resisted moves. But just the fact that this thing is so incredibly fast and is immune to Intimidate makes it just amazing. Just amazing. On Life Orb, Max Phantasm gets a Metagross, still going to be doing so much damage. You know what I mean? This thing's just going to hit so incredibly hard. Duraludon. Here's the thing. I don't think Duraludon's going to be that good. I'm going to put Duraludon in a D tier. I'm going to put it in D tier. I don't see it being good. A lot of new special attackers got added to the game. A lot of new steel types got added to the game. That means the competition for a steel type on your team is now just, there's a lot more options. You have Cortana, Celesteela, Heatran. What other Pokemon, what other steel types are being used? I honestly forget. I mean, Magnezone's not going to be that good, I'm calling it, but I mean, even Excadrill's still good. Even you could put a Scavalier on your team if you want. Stakataka as well. So the competition for steel types in this format is insane. There's so many good steel types that just Duraludon doesn't cut it anymore. Just because of the addition of so many new steel types that did so many better things, and that can counter the Tapus so much better. I mean, Stakataka counters Tapus pretty well. Cortana counters Tapus, and Duraludon doesn't really do that because you have to be running an Assault Vest, and if you're running an Assault Vest, you're going to be heavily investing in Spadef, which means you're either missing out on speed or special attack. You know what I mean? Or that extra life orb damage output, which Duraludon actually really benefits from. I just think this Pokemon has too many drawbacks now in this metagame to be really used all that much. Although I still consider this mon a threat, and definitely don't. I don't know. Holy crap! I'm talking way too much. This video is gonna be long. Arctivish. We already know where that thing's going. I'm gonna put it in F. I don't think this mon's gonna be good. Dracovish, let's talk about Arctozolt, or not Arctozolt, where is that thing? I don't even know what this is called. Arctozolt? Yeah, it's Arctozolt. I mean, it gets Slush Rush, but the fact that it gets Slush Rush, like, this thing was not used before, just because Dracozolt was obviously better, so it's gonna go in F tier, and you're not running, Hail. Hail teams aren't good. Dracozolt, a lot of Steel types got added, a lot of Fairy types got added, and a lot more Intimidate spam and switching out and whatnot are added. I think this Pokemon's C tier still. Just its sheer damage output is just incredibly strong, but I don't think it's as good as it was. Dracovish. Now Dracovish got access to Sand Rush, so we could see Dracovish go up in usage quite a bit here. Although I still don't think Dracovish is going to be as broken as people think it is. Just I don't know. Tapus got added. We have more ways for speed control, a lot more options for speed control now. And here's the thing, if you're running Sand, I don't know if Sand's, oh shoot, I knocked my speaker over. I don't know if Sand's the best way to go in this metagame, so I'm gonna put Dracovish in B tier. Will I think you will see Dracovish? Yes, but do I think it's going to be as popular as previous formats or previous seasons? No. That's just my opinion. These are my first impressions a week or so into the format. NDD Mail. We're going to talk about NDD Mail first. I'm going to put it at a solid D tier. Yes, it gets Trick Room, but there's so many better Trick Room options in this metagame. Stakataka, Crest, Porygon 2, and Dusclops, right? And this thing gets Expanding Force. Yes, it can deal damage, but now the fact that terrains are super relevant now and Terrain Wars are back, I don't know if Indeedee is worth your pick. Now, what is worth your pick is Indeedee. Indeedee Female. Indeedee Female obviously gets access to Follow Me. Being a Follow Me user in this format is incredible, and also having access to Psychic Terrain as a Follow Me user means that you can switch in to block stuff like Fake Outs to block those priority moves. So you can render Tornadus useless with a Taunt, you know what I mean? So this is actually really good because now you don't even have to maybe Follow Me turn 1 if your opponent really doesn't pressure you that much other than a taunt from a Tornadus, you know what I mean? So I say Indeedee solid A tier mon. Solid A tier mon. Grimmsnarl, the metagame's way too fast paced for Grimmsnarl now. I mean even before, actually. So I was talking to, back in April, I was talking to one of my friends, Justin Ramirez, and he's like, yo, this team's really good, and it featured a Grimmsnarl, and he was kind of showing me the team and whatnot, and it was good, don't get me wrong, I like Grimmsnarl, and I used Grimmsnarl before to win a couple of PCs, but Grimmsnarl, here's the thing, it gets dual screens, and you get Fake Tears, and you get Thunder Wave, but the fact that VGC you can only bring 4 mons, bringing just an all support mon like Grimmsnarl, I don't know, it's really kind of, it wastes one of those slots, so I'm gonna put it in D tier. I don't think it's gonna be good. Hatterene. I don't know how to feel about Hatterene. Hatterene's still gonna be good, but there's an abundance of steel types now, so I'm actually gonna put Hatterene in D tier. You have to run Berry, which means you're not running Life Orb, which means you're not hitting as hard. And the fact that there's still a bunch of steel types, you want to run the Life Orb Max Flare, and that's not going to be doing as much damage just because you're going to be running Berry most of the time. Toxtricity. Well, Landorus is a thing. And here's the thing with Toxtricity. The metagame's Toxtricity to me was always niche because it's not fast, it doesn't have great bulk, and even with a Tailwind, it's not really outspeeding much. And with this metagame, with legendaries introduced and just stronger attacks overall, and just stronger Pokemon overall, and with a lot of Pokemon teching a ground type move, I'm gonna put in the D. I'm gonna put it in. Actually, I'm gonna put Toxtricity and Grimmsnarl in F tier. I don't think they're gonna be good. Barraskewda, easy F tier. I mean, here's the thing. On a rain team, it might be good, but other than that, I don't think it's going to be good. And also, yes, I made a video talking about the best rain team to make, but I don't think rain's going to be that good, although I still will try to build rain teams. Colossal. Colossal's still going to be good. I don't think it will be as good as before, but it's still going to be incredibly good because this thing can just hit so hard. But there's just a lot. Feeny exists. Feeny could run Rindoberry. There's a lot of new tools to deal with Colossal, but at the same time, Colossal is still going to be a good Pokemon. I put it in B tier easily. I mean, it won the Players' Cup. It's just a good Pokemon, a very scary Pokemon to face. That you pretty much have to respect in your lead, and your opponent can do that. Can use that to their favor. All right. Corviknight. Corviknight's pretty much a worse Celesteela. And also the competition with a lot of other steel types, I don't think it's going to be good. Now the reason why I am putting it in F tier is just because there's such a fierce competition for steel types. There's rarely any case when you would choose Corviknight over another steel type in the format, unless you just want to use Corviknight. That's it. It's not that Corviknight's a bad Pokemon. No, Corviknight's a good Pokemon. I mean, it's not super good in VGC right now, or in VGC even this year, but it had its niche. It had its niche, right? And I was able to top cut some events and whatnot. So it had its niche, but nowadays, no. Inteleon, everything power creeps it. Dragapult outspeeds it. Reggie Lackey's a thing. Tapus are a thing. It's just not as a good offensive presence as it was before. Cinderace still goated. I'm going to be using Gmax while I'm here. Cinderace still goated. Cinderace still is incredibly good. I'd put it... Wait, where did I put it? I'd put it in a solid A tier, but I put it in low A tier, just because this thing just deals so much damage. Alright, let's talk about Rillaboom. I think Rillaboom's still incredibly good. I mean, it's better than Tapu Bulu in my opinion. It's good against some of the most some of the best current Pokemon, like Tapu Fini, Reggie Lackey, in the AV set is still incredibly good. Its longevity is really good. Its move pool is good. You get access to Grassy Glide, which is basically its priority. Then you get knockoff, so you have dark type moving. You can knock off opponents' items. Then you get U-turn for switching out. Then you get high horsepower to hit steals. Then you get superpower to maybe hit things like Stack Attacka. You can even run Swords Dance. It also gets Fake Out. Like, this Pokemon is very versatile. I'd say solid A tier. Blacephalon, no, just no. I don't feel this thing. I think this thing's too frail, and I think its typing in this format is too niche. I tried to make Blacephalon work before, back in 2018, yet again, that was early 2018, I was such a noob, I didn't really know what I was doing. But I just don't think it's going to be good. I'll give it D tier, just because I think maybe you could see a niche. Just because it is super offensive, but other than that, no. Stack Attacka, easy A tier at least, easy A tier. Such a good mon, gets access to so many good moves. Has such good defense, can set Trick Room somewhat reliably. Deals a lot of damage under Trick Room with Gyro Ball, with Rock Slide. It can get Body Press. This is also a really good Maxmon because this thing just doesn't freaking die. Incredibly good. Also, a really good Steel type. Like I said, Steel types are incredibly good in this meta. Honestly, VGC 2020 has been the era of Steel types. Steel types have just been incredibly good in this format, and Stack Attacka is just an incredibly good Steel type. Naganadel, I put in B tier. I put Naganadel in B tier. It gets access to Tailwind. It can hit pretty hard. In max mode, it has pretty good dual stab options, and you can run Flamethrower to hit something like Cortana. It is frail, and base 127 special attack isn't the... I mean, it's pretty strong, especially with the Life Orb, but you probably want to run Sash, and it gets Tailwind, so I'd say Naganadel is a B tier. I will say it's going to be very niche. Like I said with Spectrier, you're going to see it, but not often. But when you see it, you still want to respect it, right? Guzzlord, we're going to put that in F. Just terrible typing. Terrible typing. Yeah, I mean, you can use it if you want to. I just don't think it's going to be good. Cortana is incredibly good. Cortana is a solid A tier in my opinion. Just such a great offensive presence. Dynamax really benefited greatly just because you can get that beast boost, and you can get the boost from your max move if you are able to KO a Pokemon. So let's say you go for a max Airstream, you can get a speed boost, and if you KO a Pokemon, you can get an attack boost. You know what I mean? Just incredibly good. Or if you go for a Knuckle, you could get to +2 at the end of the turn. Incredibly good. Celesteela, in my opinion, is honestly not as good as I thought it was going to be. I'm kind of surprised. Hold on. I'm just going to see what Celesteela is at here real quick. Celesteela is at 8% usage. I thought it was honestly going to be a bit higher. I'm going to put it in high B tier. I thought it was going to be a little bit better. But I'm going to put it in high B tier. I think it's such a respectable Pokemon. It has such great defensive capabilities. And honestly, it has a decent... You could even run offense to Celesteela. Like, there's so many sets that you could run with this thing. So many ways to run it. And you really have to respect it each time you play it. Dang, dude. My throat is getting so sore from this video. Okay. Let's get rid of all the Pokemon that are bad. Meowth is bad. Chansey, I'm going to put that in D tier just because you can meme with it and it's actually pretty good. The Australians are pretty good with it. Galarian Soaking, I think that's D tier. They're better Trick Room setters. Altaria is easy F. I don't think Cloud9 is that good enough. Cradily is easy F tier. We have Gastrodon. Riolu. Spiritomb is easy F. There's really no reason to use that thing. Driftbloom, in my opinion, it's easy F. Because Tapu Fini exists, and because Misty Terrain and Reggie Lackey, I just don't think that Pokemon's good enough to use. What else, in my opinion, would be F? Audino, yeah, it gets Trick Room, that's about it. I don't think it's going to be good. What else is here? We're going to be getting rid of all. So the shoutouts to non-Mega Saiyan is going to be where all the Gigantamax forms go. Because there's just too many right now, and my mind is freaking out because I'm like, dang, I have so many to go through, when in reality, I don't. A lot of them are just G-Max forms that I have not simply done. I mean, look. So we're just going to put all the G-Max forms in this, because I'll talk about the G-Max forms included with the actual base Pokemon itself. But yeah, a lot of Pokemon in my opinion, that were once good, maybe back in like Series 3, Series 4, kind of just dropped off, in my opinion. They didn't do as well as I thought they would. Absol's going to be F tier. I just don't think this Pokemon's good at all. Relicanth is going to be F tier. I just don't think this Pokemon's going to be good at all. Clefairy is going to be D tier, in my opinion. There's better follow me users. There's Amoonguss now. But I still think, if you really want to use Clefairy, I think you could definitely make it work. Talonflame, Cryogonal is easy F tier. Sceptile, easy F tier. To me, Sceptile is easy F tier. I'm going to explain why. It's too fast and it doesn't hit hard enough. Alright. What other Pokemon would be an easy F tier? Lucha, I'm just going to put that in easy F tier. I mean, I just don't think it's good. I don't think it has good offensive capabilities. Magmortar, easy F tier. Electivire, easy F tier. I just don't think those Pokemon, their stats are too weird. They don't have enough speed, and they honestly don't have enough offensive presence, or even enough bulk to do well. And even just stats alone aren't good enough. Good stats alone aren't good enough for you to do well in VGC. That being said, we have a lot of Pokemon to get over. This thing, Ninja's easy F tier. Sableye, I'm gonna put in D tier just because, you know, Quash is always still relevant. Shedinja, I'm gonna put in F tier, just because. I mean, maybe there'll be one person that uses it, but I don't think it'll be good. Lycanroc, I'm just gonna put in F tier. I don't think Lycanroc's that good. So Salazzle will put in D tier just because it is a Poison Fire type, which is a really good dual typing, and it gets access to Taunt. So I'll put it in D tier for that reason. Sylveon, Aurora's I will put in F tier. I don't think this mon's gonna be good. Tyrantrum, I mean, I guess you can mess around with that. I'll put that in D tier. I'll put Aurora's in D tier as well, just because it gets access to Blizzard. Archeops, now Archeops, I love the design of Archeops, but unfortunately, I think this Pokemon's going to be extremely bad. You know, even if you stop a Choice Band on, it's not going to be doing as much damage as you think. Walrein, easy, I say easy F tier in my opinion, just because we have Lapras. So there's really no reason to run it. Togedemaru, I'm going to put as D tier. I mean, it is a Lightning Rod mon, so that in itself is pretty niche, and it gets Steel typing with access to Fake Out, so there you go. Talonflame, I think, is going to be D tier as well. Talonflame, I think, is going to be C tier to me. I think that mon's going to drop to D tier, in my opinion. We're going to, just because there are so many better Tailwind users, but still, our priority Tailwind is pretty nice. Dragalge, in my opinion, is going to be a D tier Pokemon. I don't think it will stand up to the meta at this point because we have so many good Trick Room Pokemon such as Glastrier, but you could still potentially make it work. The trio, Uxie being super defensive, if you want to go screens, I don't think it's going to be good, just because there are better screens Pokemon like Grimmsnarl. Mesprit is more offensive. No, Azelf is more offensive. I put Azelf maybe some of the best in D tier, although I don't think you use Azelf. And Mesprit, honestly, in my opinion, goes in F. Just because, at least Azelf, you're more offensive. Uxie, you're more defensive. But I don't think. I mean, I haven't seen one. Personally. So I don't have any reason to believe it's gonna be good. All right, let's move on. Armaldo, easy F tier. You don't really see that Pokemon. Weezing Galar, I'll put in D tier. I mean, it has a niche, especially with Regigigas. And where's Regigigas? Speaking of, I know we have Regigigas here somewhere. Come on, maybe we don't have Regigigas here. Okay, I guess not. I don't see him. All right. What else? Gothitelle, I think is gonna be D tier, or it's gonna be D tier for me. It has a niche because you can run Perish Trap with it. But other than that, they're just better Trick Room options, and competitive isn't as good as it used to be in my opinion. Other than or like Defiant is still really good, but it just doesn't really have the offensive pressure. Alolan Raichu is going to be easy D tier for me. I just don't think this thing's worth running even with this speed boost. Alolan Persian to me actually is going to be C tier just because it has a really good ability and it gets access to Fake Out, Parting Shot. I think it'll be good. Hitmontop I think is going to be F tier for me. I think it's going to be D tier. I mean, it's usable, but I don't think you would use it a lot. Rhyperior, I don't know what to think of this mon. I think it's not going to be as good as people. Like, I see some people trying to mess around with it, but a lot of the Pokemon that counter Rhyperior got added back. I mean, we have an abundance of Steel types that just absolutely beat this thing up. We now have access to Cortana. We have access to a Mungus, Glacier. I mean, yeah, Glacier, I mean, it probably, Rhyperior probably lives a hit from it, but let's say if it's a weakness plus a Glacier, this thing probably dies. Just because Glacier is that strong. Or if Rhyperior has taken previous chip, or Tapu Fini exists. There's so many things that counter Rhyperior, I don't think it's worth running anymore. But you could probably make it work still. Did we already talk about Cinderace and Rillaboom? Yeah, we already talked about Cinderace and Rillaboom, so we'll put those mons down here. Because we already talked about them. Here, I'm just gonna put all the G-Max forms down below, just to get rid of it to free some space up. Agron, Agron's literally just work stack Attacka, F tier for me. Weavile, it gets Surf, so it actually serves a niche here, so it can be like a Coal. You could run Coal Weavile, and I think it gets beat up as well, so there you go. It fills that niche. Jellicent, it's not a good Tricker Mon anymore. I would put it in F tier. There's no really reason to run it anymore. It had its niche back in like February, March, but now I don't really think it does. Acelgor, yet again, Final Gambit, that's about all it does. I think it's pretty bad. Shadowlure, yes, it gets Imprisoned Trick Room stuff. For that reason, I'll put it in D tier, but I don't think there's really much of a reason to run it elsewise. I mean, you will see it from time to time on teams just in case they really want to shut down Trick Room. So I will put it there for that reason because it is pretty consistent in that regard. Bronzong, I mean, yes, it is a Trick Room Pokemon. Yes, it gets Gyro Ball. Yes, it gets Body Press. And it can be an annoying Pokemon overall, but the competition for Steel types in this metagame is so fierce that I would put it actually in F tier. I just don't think it's worth running for a Trick Room Mon, and especially a Steel type Pokemon. Man, I'm talking so much. Dude, this actually hurts my throat. I'm talking so much in this. Oh my god. You don't believe how much I'm talking. I mean, yeah, you probably do, because you're watching this video. Darmanitan, I think Darmanitan, even though it won't be good in my opinion, just the sheer offensive output that it has, I'll put it in C tier. I have no idea what this thing is. Like, I know it's the Darmanitan Zen mode thing. I'm just going to put an F, because I don't even know what it does. But yeah, Darmanitan just hits incredibly hard. For that reason, I'm also gonna put this guy in F, because you're always going to be running, Sheer Force, so... Clef, it gets Follow Me, but yet again, there's so many better Follow Me users, and it doesn't have good enough special attack to really go offensive, so I'm going to put that in F. Besides, Clefairy is literally just a better Clef. Clefairy is a better Clefable. Caracosta, yeah, it can Shell Smash, but that's really about it. I don't know, it's weak to so much of the metagame right now, I don't think it's going to be good. Vanillux, Hail isn't that good, but I will put it in D tier just because it does enable some Hail Pokemon. Honestly though, in this metagame, I think it does get an Aura Veil, but if you're running Hail, maybe a Abomasnow would be better, but, you know, you could make an argument for Vanillux if you want to run, Snow teams, but honestly, no, because Hail teams are really bad. Crocodile, I'm just gonna put this in D tier. I mean, it's not like the worst Pokemon out there. I do love Crocodile. It has good attack. It doesn't have the best speed, I will admit. It could be a little bit higher, and even if it was a little bit higher, I don't think it's going to be good, just because it's weak to a lot of things in this metagame. I mean, Steel types do really well versus it, Fairy types do really well versus it, Water types do well versus it. Don't think it's going to be good. Alright, let's get these two out of the way. Yeah, people are hyped for Nidoqueen. Yes, it did well in Japan Nationals back in like 2018, I think. Or one of these two, I think it was Nidoqueen. But that was a Japanese player. They always do crazy stuff, right? I don't think these are going to be good. Their stats are just too mediocre. Ninetales. I'll put Ninetales in D tier, just because it is a setter for Sun, but you're pretty much going to be running Torkoal most of the time. Jolteon, I think it's going to be F tier this time. I just don't think it's going to stand up in this meta against all the new Pokemon. For the same reason, Amistar, I don't think Amistar is going to be good. Kabutops, I don't think Kabutops is going to be good. The only good swimmer, in my opinion, is going to be Kingdra, and, you know, that's about it, really. Aerodactyl does get access to Tailwind, but that alone doesn't save it. I still think it's bad. It's just, yeah, you can run Focus Sash with Tailwind, and it'll be good, but I don't know, man. That's all it does. It hits Tailwind once, and then maybe gets a Rock Slide off for 30%. That's about really all it does. Alright, we're going to move on to the Reggies here. Reggie Steel, I'm just not feeling it. I'm putting all Reggies in D tier. I mean, they are Reggies, so they are legendary, so they do have good stats, but I just don't think they're going to be worth using. They don't stand out from anything else, but I don't think they're complete F tier. Actually, the only one I'd say is bad. Okay, wait. So, Reggie Steel is F. Reggie Ice is F as well, in my opinion. Reggie Rock is the only D tier out of the 3, in my opinion. Rotom Heat, I think, is gonna be pretty bad in this metagame. I just don't see it being good. I'll still put it in. Nah, I'll put it in F tier here. Rotom Wash, however, has a nice typing, access to Hydro Pump, which can just hit a lot of the metagame. Access to Thunderbolt, like it also gets Hydro Pump. Obviously, has that good, nice water typing, and this metagame can deal with Feeny a lot better. So I'd say there's a place for it. I mean, you could run Rotom Heat if you want to counter Cortana, but also this counters Landorus and Incineroar a little bit better. So I'd say Rotom is a D tier. I mean, I don't think you would ever really see it, but you could. And oh, dude, my throat is killing me, man. Oh, there is Regigigas. Okay. You could run it. You could make it good. But yeah, so Volley. You can run normal gym explosion, but I don't think it's gonna be good. I'm just gonna place an F tier just because, like, I don't know. So Volley, I mean, it's a good Pokemon. I just don't think it's good in this meta. Porygon Z, I'm actually going to still. I'm gonna put it in C tier because here's the thing: Porygon Z just hits so damn hard that even in the Metal Swamp with Steel types, you're gonna be picking up KOs on stuff. You can probably deal good like 70. Probably 80% to Cresselia with a max strike. I mean, there is definitely still viability for Porygon Z. Do I think Porygon Z will do well at high levels of play? Probably not, but I still think Porygon Z isn't a bad Pokemon. Just Dynamax makes this Pokemon so much more viable. Meowstic, I mean, it's a prankster Pokemon, but we have other prankster Pokemon. I mean, this thing gets screens, so for that reason, I'll put it in D tier, but I don't think you're going to be running this. It gets screens Tailwind. And it gets Taunt, so I think it gets Taunt, so there is maybe some reason to run this thing, but for the most of the time, you're probably not going to want to run it. Virizion, it is a beat-up user. For that reason, beat-up is a little bit scary, so I will give it D tier. But it is the worst out of all of the beat-up users just because of its typing. Flying is really prevalent right now in the metagame, so if you look up Flying right now in the metagame, it's just incredibly good. Look, Landorus learns it, Moltres, Cortana, Thundurus, Torn, Dragapult, Zapdos, Celesteela, Articuno, Togekiss, Zapdos regular, Coco, they all get access to Flying type moves. I don't think it's gonna be good. Actually, for that reason, I'll put it in F. Because here's the thing: if you're gonna run Virizion, why not run Cabalion, right? So for that reason, we're gonna do the other two here. Where's Cabalion? Oh, here we go. Cabalion, I'm going to put in D tier. I don't think beat up as a strategy is as good anymore. Actually, no, I'll put it in C. I'll put it in C tier. I think Cabalion is pretty good. Terrakion, it has a good defensive typing. Terrakion, it's more offensive, but just because there are more steals in this meta. And steals that are faster and that hit harder, or set Trick Room and hit harder, or can tank Terrakion's attacks and then hit back hard. I think Terrakion is actually a D tier in my opinion. Still viable, definitely with beat up, but definitely I think Cabalion is the better beat up user in my opinion. Circuitry, I don't think Circuitry is as broken as everyone thought. I'll put it in D tier just because it can hit ridiculously hard, but I don't think it's going to be as good as people think. Gudra to me right now is honestly F tier. I'm going to tell you why. Gudra's D tier, but like bottom D tier. Gudra, if you really want to make it work, you're going to run Weakness Policy, so you're going to run Comfey with it. But why couldn't you just go Comfey Dragapult? Why couldn't you go Metagross, you know? There are better Weakness Policy users than Gudra. This thing's not going to be hitting as hard as you think it will, especially because Legendaries are introduced, and Legendaries typically have more bulk. I just don't think it's going to be as good. Alright. Mamo. What do we want to do next? Let's go over Rainmons. Politoed. I'm gonna put in D tier. I don't think Rain's gonna be good. Kingdra. I'm gonna put it in D tier. I don't think Rain's gonna be good, but the fact that it can at least hit stuff for good damage is relevant. Gyarados. It's weird. I feel like Gyarados in theory should be actually pretty good, but in practice, I just can't see it doing well against all these Pokemon. Though I still will put it in D tier just because if it gets the ball rolling, it's pretty good. Articuno is a terrible typing. I'm gonna put it in F tier. Terrible typing. Not enough offense. It's pretty bad. Gastrodon does get Storm Drain, so obviously it's still a very good Pokemon, a really good Trick Room Pokemon. Able to beat Torkoal in some scenarios. I put it in D tier. Still, it can stop Pokemon. I don't think it's going to be. It's not as good as it was though, so I'll put it in D tier for that. Sylveon. With the abundance of Steel types, and with just more. If you look at the meta, it's really physically dependent in my opinion. Metagross, Reggie Glacier, Rillaboom, Cortana, Heatran. A lot of things just hit it way too hard. Stack Attack, Celesteela, Porygon 2. The amount of time she'll get this Pokemon to work, in my opinion, I don't know. I'd actually put it in F tier. But if I were to put it in F tier, I would put it in high F tier. I don't know where I put Sylveon. I forgot where did I put Sylveon? I honestly don't see Sylveon. Alright, I don't see Sylveon, and maybe when I see it again, I'll put it in D tier, but just for now, imagine Sylveon is in D tier. Oh, here we go. Sylveon shouldn't be in S tier. Just imagine if it's like top tier F tier in my opinion. Comfey's still incredibly good. I put Comfey in actually C tier, just because Draining Kiss is good, Floor Healing still very good, a lot of good strats there. Primarina fell off a lot. I put it in D tier though. It's still fine. It's just outclassed by Feeny, so I put it in bottom of D tier. It's not like you can't use it. I just think Feeny's better overall. Serena. I'd say Serena's solid D tier, just because it has a lot of coverage. High jump kick, U-turn, power whip, triple axle, play rough. Dude, I'm losing my voice slowly. It gets screens, and it gets a really good ability. But in my opinion, I just don't think it can keep up with the rest of the metagame. Like I said, a metagame that's very flying type heavy. Arcanine is going to be outclassed in my opinion by Entei and Incineroar in this metagame, just because Incineroar provides more utility, because Incineroar gets Fake Out. It has that dark type, which is going to match up better just against many Pokemon in my opinion. It matches up better against Metagross, matches up better against Cresselia, against Dusclops. I think it's better overall. So for that reason, I am going to put Arcanine. I don't know where I actually put the Arcanine sprite, but if I can find Arcanine, I will put it in D tier. Yeah, I did put it in D tier. Okay. Gengar, I just don't think is good enough in this meta. You're going to be running Sash, and if you're running Sash, you're probably going to be running Icy Wind, and honestly, Gengar doesn't hit as hard as you think. And, I mean, just running Dual Stab and Icy Wind and a Protect for a Sasher is honestly not enough in my opinion. A Sasher has to bring a lot to a table. If you're going to Sash a Pokemon like Reggie Lackey, which brings so much to the table. Sash a Pokemon like Cortana, which brings so much to the table. Naganadel, which has a really good Dual Stab. Incredible max move Dual Stab, and access to Tailwind. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's how I feel about that. Alright, we're gonna go through Scizor. I think is really bad. I'm gonna put an F tier. Yet again, Steel types are in competition for one another, and Incineroar's a thing. This thing literally gets intimidated once and it can do nothing. No types of damage. Jinx, for that matter, is also F tier. Yes, it gets Dry Skin, I know that, but yes, it gets Fake Out, I know that. But other than that, it doesn't really do anything to me. Excuse me, like my throat is getting. Oh, dude, if I had to, like, dude, my throat is getting so sore from all this talking. Noivern is a Tailwind user. For that reason, I'll put it in D. Snorlax, I still think Snorlax is good, but there are a lot of better Trick Room. There are a lot of better Trick Room mons, but I think Snorlax is just one of those Pokemon where a lot of people won't run it on their team, but when you face one, you're scared as heck. Especially because Pheromosa gets Speed Swap. Ferrothorn right now is outclassed by a bunch of Steels. I put it at the bottom of the D tier. Whimsicott still gets Tailwind, so I think that's good. So for that reason, I'll put it in C tier. I don't think Whimsicott's top tier in my opinion. I think it's at 6%, yeah, it's at 8% usage. I think Whimsicott, in my opinion, is C tier for me. Kekelder, just things have changed in the metagame because Amoonguss is back. I don't think it's as good as it was. I'll put it in D tier because it can hit hard, but I don't think it's as good as normal. Alright, Alakazam, Side Spam is kind of dead, and it's brain dead, and there's a lot of ways to get around it now with access to terrain, so I'd honestly put Alakazam in F tier. Crobat does get access to Tailwind, so for that reason, and it gets access to Super Strength and Focus, so it can't be flinch. I put it in B tier. I think Crobat's I think it's a low B tier Pokemon in my opinion. Alright, I don't know what else I want to do here. Dragonite, people were hyping Dragonite up. I think it's C tier. I think it's a decent weakness Pokemon, and it's bulky, but I just don't get the hype around it. I don't think it's as good as people think. Bisharp, I'm going to put Bisharp in actually F tier. I just don't think it's going to be usable in this format. Because the things that intimidate it, Landorus just one-shots it. Zapdos one-shots it. Steel types, a lot of Steel types have fighting moves now. And just so many things deal damage to it, and it doesn't have good enough speed to really be used for Trick Room or Tailwind for that matter. Excuse me. A little Ninetales, I said Hail's gonna be bad, so I'm putting it in D tier. I don't think it's gonna be good. But the fact that it does get Aura Veil does make it a little bit better. Okay, what other monster I want to talk about here? Tornadus, I don't even know what this is called. Therian, I don't really know. It does get access to Regenerator, but I'm going to put it in bottom of D tier, just because you're going to pretty much be always using the actual Tornadus right here. And for this matter, this guy is solid S tier. Access to Priority Tailwind, access to Priority Taunt, access to Max Air Streams, access to Icy Winds. What? Tornadus busted! If you remember back in 2019, this guy was used on, what team was it? It was Xerneas, Zern, Ogre, Incin, Amoonguss, Torn, and one other Pokemon. Probably probably Coco, Lele, I don't really know. I forget. But this guy, busted. Incredibly good. Buzzwol, I think Buzzwol will be used a little bit. I'm going to put it in C tier. I think you will see some people experiment with it, and I think you will see, honestly, few players have success with it, but overall, I don't think it's going to be that good, just because, like I said, meta is kind of a lot of flying moves circulating, especially with max moves. So Pokemon Cortana Aerial Ace is now viable, and Fly is now viable. So I don't think Buzzwol is going to be as good, but I think it will have a niche. We already talked about Snorlax right here. Reggie Gigas, I'm gonna put it in C tier. Like I said, yeah, it's good with the Weezing, but I think there are so many ways to counter it, and basically, if you're not a complete noob, you can basically find ways to beat this thing. Hydreigon, it does get access to Tailwind, but I don't think its dual stabs are great for max, and also the meta is different. There's a lot more fairies. The fact that Fini's #1 makes it hard to use. The fact that Metagross is so popular, Glastrier, Moltres. There's so many Pokemon that are just objectively better than it. I'm not saying Hydreigon's a bad Pokemon because it's good. I'd say it's probably better than Bisharp or Sylveon. Or maybe not better than Sylveon in this meta, but maybe better than probably Jolteon in this meta. But I don't think it's gonna be good. Swampert, for that reason, I'm actually gonna put this in F tier. I just don't understand why you would use this thing. This thing's offensive presence isn't enough for really you to warrant using it. And this thing's defensive presence is good, but it just kind of sits there in my opinion. I don't think it would do much. Salamence, I think is a solid. I think it's a solid C tier to me. I wouldn't put it in B tier, but I think it's a solid C tier. Just because it gets access to Hurricane now, it gets access to Tailwind, so this thing's a pretty good Tailwind bond. You can run Bulldoze next to, like, I don't know, Metagross to proc your policy. So I think it does have uses, although I don't think it's the best Tailwind setter, and I think there are better Intimidators that we have yet to go over. Alright, Braviary. I'm going to put it in F tier. Why? Because we have so many better Tailwind users. I think Braviary deserves to be in D tier, but the fact that you would consider Braviary over any other Tailwind user that I've talked about already, excuse me, is kind of atrocious. I think this thing's F tier because if you're using a Tailwind Mon, Braviary is one of the last Pokemon I consider to use for it. Milotic, in my opinion, is just too slow for this metagame. I mean, it was good back on the day, but it's just too slow in this metagame to really operate here. Although the fact that Landorus and Incineroar are a thing makes me I'll put it in D tier. I'll put it like in somewhat high D tier. But I just don't think it's good enough in this metagame. I mean, besides if you look at its usage, I mean maybe it's 3%. Yeah, 3%. So not bad, honestly, but not good either. Riolu gets coaching. I still think it's D tier though, because Pheromosa gets coaching. There are better coaching mons than Riolu in my opinion. And Riolu, that is its one sole thing that it can do. Other coaching mons like Pheromosa can just hit like an absolute truck. They don't really have to be forced into that coaching role. That's all Riolu can do. So I think Riolu is just super one-dimensional. I don't think it's as good as other coaching Pokemon. Dhelmise, I think actually Dhelmise is F tier in my opinion because you want to use this thing in Trick Room, and guess what exists? Amoonguss exists, and yeah, it can't redirect. It can go for it's just a good Pokemon that discourages Trick Room being used. But you know what other Pokemon are really good? Torkoal and Glastrier. So Dhelmise is an F tier in my opinion. Not to say that Dhelmise is a bad Pokemon. It's just a bad Pokemon in this format in particular. Mimikyu, I'd put Mimikyu in D tier. There are better Trick Room setters out there, but Mimikyu's typing is unique. Its move pool is good, and its ability is pretty good. So I think for that reason, it gets a niche. Raikou at the same time also gets D tier. I can't put it in F tier just because it does have pretty good stats, and it did gain some nice coverage moves. But at the same time, and it got Rising Voltage. But at the same time, there's really not much reason to run it. For the most part, I think running it, you're just wasting the slot for the most part. I don't think it excels in anything in particular. Azumarill, for that reason, I'm gonna put Azumarill actually in. Alright, I kind of want to put it in F tier. I know it sounds weird, but yeah, I'm gonna put it in F tier honestly. Because here's the thing with Azumarill, we have two better water fairies, Tapu Fini and Primarina. And yeah, while both are special, Azumarill just want to intimidate, really neuters this thing's ability to do well. So my camera cut, sorry about that guys, we were talking about Azumarill. Yeah, one Intimidate just really neuters this thing's ability to be able to deal damage, and if you're running, I don't know, I just don't think it's going to be as good as, I don't think it's good, in my opinion. I don't know what else to say, I don't think it's going to be good. This video is going to be incredibly long. Suicune gets access to Tailwind, it gets access to Snarl, it can slow the pace of the game down. That reason I put it in C tier. Blaziken, I put it in actually F tier. I don't think there's a reason to use this Pokemon. I don't know, it's just Blaziken's predictable because they run Speed Boost, so you know they're gonna go for Protect often, and honestly they just don't deal enough damage in my opinion. Porygon 2 is a solid B tier for me. I think it's a good Trick Room setter. It can do quite a bit of damage. It can recover. It can go for Ally Switch. It can go for shenanigans. Amoonguss, I'm not gonna talk about why Amoonguss is good. But it's a solid A tier pick in my opinion. Solid A tier pick in my opinion. Marowak, I'd say is a C tier pick. It matches up well actually against most of the Trick Room threats right now. So maybe you could see its usage rise. And it's a Lightning Rod user. So it has options. It has ways to deal with a lot of the meta. So I'm not counting it out, I just don't think it's going to be as good. The Lottie twins, honestly, they get a C tier. I'd say they're going to be good, but I don't see why you would really use them all that much. Like, they're probably going to be used more than Duraludon, don't get me wrong, or Tyrantrum or Salazzle, but I just don't think they have enough tools to cut it, in my opinion. I don't think their typing is that great for this meta in particular, and you know, you're probably going to run Tailwind on them, but there's just better Tailwind mons out there in my opinion. Blastoise, I'm going to put Blastoise in D tier. I mean, even if you go Shell Smash, I mean, there's just not many things to Shell Smash in front of, because there's Fini, there's Reggie Lackey, there's Rillaboom, there's Cortana, there's Amoonguss, there's Zapdos, Coco, you know. I don't know, I just don't think it's as good as it used to be. Let's see. Tyranitar, I think Tyranitar's a solid B tier. I think this thing's always solid, although I feel like it is gonna drop off. I mean, it can help sand teams, you know, sand rush Pokemon, be able to boost their speed, and it just has great natural bulk and just honestly a great Pokemon all around. Although I feel like just because we got a lot of new steel types added, that kind of neuters Tyranitar's ability to go rampant. A lot of new fighting types as well. So I don't think Tyranitar is going to be super good, but I still think it's going to be pretty good. Alright, Metagross, easy S tier. Easy S tier. This thing is just so incredibly good with a weakness policy, Assault Vest. It's just such a good Dynamax candidate. Venusaur, it's good on Sun teams. I'll give it that. I'll put it actually in I'll put it in top of C tier. I think Venusaur is good. I think it has a place in this metagame. It's just weak to a lot of stuff in the metagame right now, and it's kind of useless. It's kind of useless if it's not in Sun. Heatran right now, I think Heatran is incredibly good. I put Heatran in solid B tier. Heatran, it just has really good typing, really good max moves. Always has been a really good Pokemon. It was good back in 2015. Just really good. Volcarona, I mean, yes, it gets Rage Powder, but there's so many better Follow Me-esque users, and I just don't think it's good. Yes, it gets Rage Powder and Tailwind. I don't think this one's good. I'll put it in D tier though, because it does serve a niche. I think it gets Tailwind still, of having Tailwind and Rage Powder, and it gets Struggle Bug as well, so it will cancel the pace of the game down. I mean, there are a lot of moves you can run with this thing. I just don't think it's gonna be. I don't think it's gonna be good. Magnezone, a personal favorite of mine. I don't think this Pokemon is gonna be that good because there are a lot of ground type moves in this metagame. But I feel like I'm going to experiment with it, and I feel like once I find a right team for it, this thing will just break the meta. Magnezone's Pokemon I've used historically. When I say historically, I mean in the past couple of months. I used it to win a 91 player tournament. It's an incredibly good Pokemon. People don't have, I mean, I wouldn't say people don't have answers for it. I just know how to play the Pokemon. Like, I would Dynamax this thing in front of Gmax Cinderaces and I would win. Because I just know how to play with this Magnezone. I know how it operates. I know how people are going to react to it. Alright, Garchomp. People were hyped about Garchomp. I don't think Garchomp is as good as everyone thought it would be. There are a lot of dragons in this metagame that you would, that I feel like you would rather run over this thing. I still think Garchomp is good. I will give it a B tier. I'll give it a high C tier in my opinion. High C tier. Actually, no, I'll give it a very low B tier. Tapu's. Lele, in my opinion, is low B tier. Actually, no. Lele C tier in my opinion. Just because I feel like you want to run Indeedee more. Feeny is S tier. I told everyone that Feeny was going to be the best Mon, and look at it now. It is the best, is the most used Pokemon. Coco's easy A tier to me. Coco's just super fast, super hyper offensive. Bulu is D tier to me just because it's worse than Rillaboom. Torkoal, in my opinion, is a solid B tier Pokemon just because Trick Room right now is honestly pretty good and it hits Glass to the air pretty hard, and it can allow Venusaur to pretty much go crazy and dominate the metagame. Mamoswine right now, in my opinion, it just doesn't have the typing. It doesn't have the typing right now for this metagame. A lot of steals right now. A lot of flying type Pokemon. I don't think Mamoswine actually has what it takes to really, truly do well in this format. Although still, I will give it a B tier just because I think I will give it a C tier just because I think Mamo has potential in this format. Incineroar's easy A tier. Easy S tier in my opinion. Actually, I'm gonna bring Dragapult down into A tier, and I'm gonna bring Glastrier down into A tier. Just because I feel like those Pokemon, they're not as splashable as these. Those 4 S tier Pokemon. Nihilego, I'll put it at B tier. It has offensive means, although I don't think it's the best ultra means. You can run Trick Room if you want, but this thing's just more gonna be offensive oriented. Weezing, I'm gonna put this Weezing in F tier because I feel like you're probably going to be using the Galarian Weezing for the neutralizing gas. Dusclops is easy A tier just because it's a really good Trick Room setter. It still is impossible. It still is pretty impossible to take down. 13% usage right now. I'd say Dusclops is still incredibly good. Cresselia, A tier. Gets access to Ally Switch, gets access to Ice Beam, gets access to Moonlight. Just an incredibly good Trick Room Pokemon, kind of like Dusclops in a way. Alright. Let's see. Durant, I just don't think Durant's good in this one. I put it in D tier. a lot of Pokemon outspeed it, a lot of Pokemon hit it on the special side, Reggie Lackey. And if Pokemon don't outspeed it, you know, Duran just isn't as threatening as it used to be, just because of the new types, the new Pokemon added a lot more access to speed control than before. Yeah, I mean, you have a lot more dedicated Tailwind teams now than back then. So I think Duran is pretty bad. But what I will say is we're going to talk about Escavalier. I'm going to put Escavalier in B tier, and I know this sounds weird, and hear me out. And I might be completely wrong on this, if Escavalier does turn out to be bad. But I think Escavalier is one of the best Glacier counters. So if you need a way to counter Glacier, Escavalier, in my opinion, is the way to go. Also, just a pretty good Trick Room Mon, in my opinion, has really good coverage. You can run Overcoat, so you can't be spored. That's always nice for a Trick Room Mon. You know what I mean? I think it's solid. You could run an AV set if you want. You could run Life Orb. A lot of good items, a lot of good ways to run it. Landorus Incarnate, I'm gonna put it in C tier, because you're always gonna, I don't know, it's always inferior to Big Daddy Landorus here. Big Daddy Landorus, I'm actually gonna put in A tier. I don't think I want to put in S tier. I don't think it's worthy of that title, just because I mean, Landorus is good, but it's not absolutely broken like everyone thought it would be. Now, is it good? Yes, of course it's good, obviously, but it's not as good as everyone maybe hyped it up to be. Raichu, I mean, it gets access to Lightning Rod, so for that reason, I'll put it in C tier. And also, popular strategy, use it with Galarian Moltres and go for, I don't know, Volt Switch into your own Moltres to proc its weakness policy, or maybe Brutal Swing with Metagross so you can proc its weakness policy. I don't really know. Alright, speaking of which, Moltres, Galarian, easy B tier. Its typing is incredibly good. Yeah, its ability is really good, and honestly, it's a really great max candidate. Regular Moltres, it's C tier. I don't think it's as good. There's just a lot better fire options than flying. Flying is an abundant type in this metagame, or at least coverage wise. But I feel like there's just a lot of better Pokemon that fill its role. Not to say it's bad. Zard, I'll put it in C tier, because I kind of feel the same way with Moltres. Zard, I mean, used to be champion at dealing the amount of damage, but now there's just so much more speed control, and honestly, just a lot of Pokemon that outspeed Charizard and can just threaten so much damage on it, that it just doesn't cut it to lead Charizard Torkoal anymore and just hit for so much damage. Gigalith does allow you to go for it is a Trick Room Sand Setter. For that reason, I'll put it in C tier. I think Gigalith actually has potential to do well. Thundurus, this Pokemon in my opinion is easy A tier. Thundurus is just incredibly good. Defiant is incredibly good. You can run Fly, Wow Charge, Superpower, Protect. It pretty much makes it so Landorus and Incineroar want to cry, because you can run Expert Bell or Life Orb, and you can, if you go full attack investment, you one-shot even super defensive Incineroar, so there you go with Superpower. Lapras, I think, is still going to be pretty good. I'm not going to put it in... Will I put it in A tier? How used is Lapras? It has a 4% usage rate. I think it just struggles against a lot of the common Pokemon, typing-wise. But still, I think this mon is just incredibly powerful and incredibly good. Galarian Zapdos, I'll put in B tier. I expect Galarian Zapdos has good dual typing offensively, but defensively it's really bad. It's weak to so many common types in the metagame right now, and I do think it is going to fall off pretty hard in the coming weeks. Maybe give it 2 months, and I think it'll pretty much just fade into existence. This boy, I don't really know where to put him. I'll put him in C tier. I'll put him in D tier. I don't think he's that good. If you're going to be running Thundurus, you might as well run. If you're going to be running Thundurus, you might as well run the better one, aka whatever this boy is called. Whatever form that boy is called. We're almost at the end here. Okay, Excadrill. Where's Excadrill go here? I'm going to put it in C tier. I don't think Sand was as good as it used to be, and if you're running Sand, you're probably going to be running Sand versus Dracovish, so you're probably going to be running T-Tar, Excadrill, and Dracovish. I don't think Excadrill is as good as it used to be, just because there are a lot more faster Pokemon. There's a lot more speed control. There's more Trick Room. There's more Tailwind teams. There's just a lot more speed control. Entei, I think Entei is a very solid Pokemon. I'm actually going to put it in B tier. I think I actually really like an Assault Vest as like Sacred Fire, Snarl. You can run Bulldoze next to Metagross if you really want. This thing also gets Stomping Tantrum, so you can go for those max Quakes. It can go Iron Head, so you can go for max Steel Spikes. Very, very, very solid Pokemon overall, in my opinion. Clarion Articuno, I think, is actually it's a B tier. It's a B tier. It's a low B tier in my opinion. It's a good Tailwind Mon. It's not a good Tricker Mon in my opinion. And yes, it has great special attack, but its dual stabs just aren't hitting a lot for super effective. And I feel like with Galarian Articuno, if you want to pick up on those KOs, you really need to hit stuff super effective just to be able to deal that extra amount of damage. Pheromosa, easy B tier, I think. Although I could honestly put it in A tier if I really wanted to. I just don't know how far down the list it is. But the thing is scary, don't get me wrong. I say it's easy B tier. It's hard to play with, just because you need to be very specific. You need to get a safe switch in, and lead Pheromosa is really predictable, so they can just kind of counter your lead. So maybe bringing Pheromosa in the back, and then that makes you have to get it safely in the switch in. And Pheromosa is one of those Pokemon where it's really prediction dependent. So it's basically it comes up to it depends on the trainer. The more experienced the trainer, just the better this thing's gonna do. Togekiss, I think Togekiss is still B tier. Dude, my voice hurts so much. My throat hurts so much. Good, we only have one Pokemon left after this, because my god. Oh, I will talk a little bit after we rank all the Pokemon. Togekiss still gets Follow Me, which is just incredibly good. Incredibly good. But because of the steel abundance, I'm actually going to place it in C tier. I don't think it's as good as it was, just because of all the steals. Zapdos. Also, there's a lot of Pokemon that run flying type moves. Zapdos, I think, is a solid B tier. It has really good offense. It doesn't get Tailwind anymore, but it just hits so hard, in my opinion. I don't know what save means, but that is our tier list, ladies and gentlemen. This is our tier list for all of the relevant VGC 2021 or Series 7 or the Crown Tundra DLC. These are all the Pokemon that I think are good. This is my tier list. Tell me your thoughts on my tier list in the comments below. If you agree, if you disagree with any of the Pokemon that I put anywhere, because I can already tell you I might disagree with some Pokemon here. But ladies and gentlemen, tell me in the comments below if you agree with this list. If you enjoyed this video, because this was a really long video, it's gonna take a long time to freaking edit. My voice pretty much is just about died for today, but I hope you all did enjoy this video. It really means a lot to me. But if you could, smash the like button down below, and please subscribe for more future content. But anyways, guys, I'm Glade, and I will see you all later. Peace.